Does it give you a countdown?
I think so.
I'm not seeing one, but it just says getting ready.
So are we looking in here?
So that's the.
You can, when you're like, if you're wanting to speak direct, look in there. If we're just having a conversation, you're fine. Just, but yeah, if you're wanting to say something real personal or whatever, just look at that camera. I know it's far away, the cord wouldn't stretch, but it's a pretty close-up shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just got me in it. No, I'm playing. All right. Should we hit start now?
You can.
All right, we should be. It says broadcast starts in less than.
Oh my gosh, really?
Is it already going?
No,
Oh, what's
that
wrong?
was from earlier.
Oh, is it on? Was that on? Oh,
There we are.
oh, we're on. We're on. Awesome. Okay. So,
Oh my.
oh, it got me saying that. It got me
gosh,
saying
good.
it's got no. So we're live now, and we didn't know we were live, but we're live now. And let me turn this down. Man, we're here on Wednesday night. We're running through kind of a new system for us, so we're really hoping that it works well and that you can hear us. Just comment, let us know. If you can't, we'll do our best to make it happen. So we're in good old D Vegas, and we got some of, I would consider some of our key people here in our community, just great leaders, great people, and we are super excited. I said excited earlier, and I don't know that is necessarily the best word for me to say, but I heard excited and nervous are the same emotion, just which one we choose. So I'm going to go with excited. But here's the thing. We, as a church, wanted to take some time and get together and talk about what's happening in our world. Obviously, everything that has been ignited with George Floyd and the horrific act that has brought upon all of us. We're going to talk through that. We're going to talk about some pretty, I would say, touchy points, but yet at the same time, I got a group of people here that I feel will really express some really key things for us to talk about and key questions for us to talk through. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to ask some questions. I'll ask some questions. I'm going to let these guys talk and really share their hearts. That's what really this is about tonight, is to hear other voices in our community. And I am just excited to see what God's going to do with all of that. So let me introduce who we got here. We got Andreas. He is I would consider a good friend. He is the community director at the YMCA here in Danville. And he has been what I would consider a big impact, a big influence in our community for a few years now. I've known Andreas for probably about that amount of time now, really. And he has been coming here for quite a bit of that time. And I've just seen his influence, especially in young people's lives. I've seen so many young people, basketball players, stuff like that this guy has poured into and does it with his whole heart. And I just thought it would be amazing to have him. So thank you so much, Andres, for being here, buddy.
Thanks for asking.
Super excited to have you. Sitting by him, y'all probably know that this is Grandma Alma. She likes to be referred to as Nana Alma, I guess.
Nana.
And she's helped raise my kids, so I figure she would have some really great things to share as well. She's a little older than us, not much, right, Miss Alma? She's a little older than us, but
Just 72 young.
yeah, 72 young.
Yeah.
But I believe she's going to bring some real words of wisdom for all of us tonight. We got my baby. We won't take much time, but she is amazing. If you know my baby, she's awesome, and she's a tremendous leader, loves people, and I'm still to this day kind of convicted on her heart and her the softness of her heart to so many people right now in this moment. And then we got my man Christian. He is one of our worship leaders here. This is a young man that God has already used tremendously in his short. How are you? 23.
24.
I thought we were arguing a little bit about that on the way here. I said 23, but he's 24 years old.
26.
And
Sorry.
my wife thought you were 26, bro. But Christian he's a big influence in our community. I think just about every person you talk to probably has heard of Christian, knows Christian in some sort of way. He's had a huge opportunity with vocally singing and all kinds of different things and using the gift that God's given him. We are fully taking advantage of that right now here at Life Church and are blessed to have him a part of what God's doing. But again, just a great friend that I felt like we felt like could bring some insight as well. So thank you
Appreciate you guys.
so much for being here. Let's start off the conversation light. Let's start it off. Is that okay? I mean, can we? All right. So, I'm pretty sure, I have grown up around diversity. So I'm pretty sure that I know and comfortable with knowing that I would say that if I'm talking about a black person, that I'm okay referencing as a black gentleman, black lady. But I want to make sure. That I've just kind of always assumed that because, again, I've grown up in that, right? So I want to make sure. So as a kind of a light question, but yet at the same time, I would say kind of a serious question. What would you guys say is the honorable, appropriate verbiage? Because verbiage is extremely important for us as individuals. What would you say? Would you say black, African American, people of color? What would you say?
I am African American, but I can deal with black
Okay.
because that's what we are.
Yep.
It's okay with me because there are other words that you better not ever use.
Absolutely.
But there is these words. These words are okay with me because that's
Sure.
who I am,
Absolutely.
and I'm happy about it.
Okay.
I'm glad that God made me who I am.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I feel the exact same way. I'm Andreas Coleman. I'm an African American male.
Yeah.
I'm black. Like I said, I'm proud about
Awesome.
that as well.
Awesome.
God made me unique. He made me different from everybody else. So
Awesome.
it is what it is.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Christian?
Now, my opinion is different because if you are to talk to somebody that's actually from the African descent, they don't claim us.
They don't.
Oh, okay.
No.
So, no, we're not African Americans. We're Black Americans.
Yeah, okay.
For me, that's my opinion.
No,
I can live
absolutely.
with that too.
That's my opinion,
No,
and
that makes sense.
only because I've had friends who are actually African, and that was the conversation we had to have.
Wow, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Knowledge.
From a colored person to another person of color, he let me know, like, bro, stop saying you African American.
So when I hear that, because I honestly, I'm gonna be real honest tonight. I have never even heard that before, like where that is a challenge there too. Does that? Because to me, that would make it even more where I could question like, what where do I fit in that then? Does that make sense? Like here, I'm being referred to as an African American, but yet that offends even them to say that. Does it make sense? Like, does that make that feel that way?
I mean, not for me. Because when we were having the conversation, a lot of it had to do with culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the cultures just are different.
Yes.
Sure.
So that would be like us trying to take on white culture and claim it. It's just not.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep.
It's just not a thing.
Absolutely.
So I think that they have every right to feel that way. And I think that us as black people, we need to become more aware and to go and find information. Go and talk to those people that we might know from other cultures and really get an understanding because we've been saying stuff wrong too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
I agree
So
with
we're
that.
not the only ones.
I agree.
right.
It makes a lot of sense.
I've
does.
talked to an African lady when I moved to Georgia for a little while. She didn't like that I was saying African American because she said you ladies in America, black ladies are spoiled. Y'all
Yeah.
not, y'all don't understand what
had to
Africans
go through.
go through.
Okay.
So
Wow.
Yeah.
that put a little wisdom in me too, but I still
Absolutely.
don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, if they call you that, I mean,
Yeah.
everybody don't know yet.
Yes.
You know what I
no,
mean? So
yeah.
it's okay. Like, I'm not gonna trip.
Yeah, not
But-
a bit.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Definitely enlightened.
Okay, no, and that even enlightens, again, just something, I don't want to simplify it, but something, as that's not as maybe as big of everything that's going on right now, but yet it's good to know, again, just get wisdom on what that looks like. So that's huge. Yeah, okay, so let's talk this. Britt and I have really been strongly praying about, thinking about over the last week specifically, what we can be doing as a family to impact our kids. Because I believe that's where it starts, right? The Bible talks about the fact that if you can't lead your own family, you probably shouldn't be leading anybody, right? So when it comes to us as a white family, what is there any guidance? Is there any wisdom that you guys could see that or could give us as a challenge that we can? I want my kids to grow up to be what I know that Britt and I are, and that is where we love. I mean this when it sounds so cheesy, but red and yellow, black and white. But we can get better at that. So what would that look like? Is there any?
Let me say something right here. You have done a great job, because you might not even remember this day, but I do. It was Christmas morning, and I was invited to your house for breakfast. And we was all sitting around the table, and one of the guys was talking about who their best babysitter was. And they said, Miss Alma, and Jada said, wait, Miss Alma's not a babysitter, she family.
Oh man.
So y'all did a good job, because she didn't see me as a black lady, a black babysitter. She saw me as part of her family. And that's how, and they said, oh, you're right. Miss Alma is part of our family. I am.
You are part of our family.
Yeah,
There's
so-
no question of that. Andreas,
Me,
I didn't invite you for Christmas. you wouldn't bring none, so I ain't inviting you. So
but you did it. First time, I want to say Todd Thomas introduced you to me. I was at the Y. I needed gym space. I had a bunch of programs going on. I needed some gym space. And so I reached out to you, and you let me come to the gym free of charge. And like I said, since then, we just built a great rapport, a great relationship. And it's just really just about being genuine and being honest.
wow. Okay.
Like I said, you can ask me for anything. If I give you the shirt off my back, the
Absolutely.
shoes off my feet, without a doubt. And like I said, since then, we just built a great relationship. And when it comes to the kids, it's the same thing. You just want to be open. You want to be honest with, everything, things in the household, relationship, mother, father, grandfather, things that are going on in the world, the local community, and, just communicate with them and let them know what's going on as well. And when you do that with them, they'll see there's no different from black, white, pink, or green. Everybody is the same,
Sure.
But, a lot of people try to sugarcoat it. A lot of people try to hide things from their kids, and that's where they go wrong, because what happens when they get out there and they see these things
Absolutely.
and they've never seen them,
Yeah.
then there's a problem.
Yeah.
But, if you're addressing the boys now about, what's going on and, police brutality or, anything that's going on, positive or negative in the world, they know how to address it.
So
They've
good.
already been trained.
So good.
That's really good.
That's so good. Christian? you
I
think
agree with that. I think I want to second what Miss Alma said, just as far as you guys and your kids, because as far as I'm concerned, y'all know like how many times I come and stay at the house.
Yeah.
And they don't treat me any different. You know what I mean? They love me just like, I'm a part of the family. Like they don't care. They don't think twice. And that's dope, and I think that speaks a lot to what you guys are teaching them at home.
Okay.
I think that if more people would stop being scared to have those conversations,
Wow.
it would help a lot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think not only with the kids, but just in general. If we would stop being scared to have conversations that may be uncomfortable. Because truthfully, you know, John and I talked for an hour, but there was a moment in time where it just got uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And
But
that's okay.
Yeah, but at the end of it, we love each other. You know what I mean? This is my brother, so we you know, and I feel like when you genuinely say you love someone, you know, when there's moments where you both don't quite understand or you're trying to figure it out, you know, I can't come at John for something he don't know. Only thing I can do is try to enlighten him, and vice versa.
Yes.
So we have to be willing to sit down and have conversation and talk about the stuff that we really would rather not talk about.
Yeah.
You know,
All right, so I really wasn't looking at y'all honoring me and my wife and my kids, but I appreciate what you said, because I think it really, selfishly, it helps Britt and I realize that sometimes you can wonder, you know what I mean, what kind of an impact you're having, specifically with your kids, right? Like specifically your kids, and I'm so my heart is moved by that. And it sounds to me like, from everything you guys just said, that if people would just be willing to take the time and get open and real, and have those hard conversations, and understand that us learning about what we don't know about is how we grow. I told Christian this last night, and maybe this can lead into another question. I told Christian this last night, though, that, you know, we get such in these systems as individuals. All right, we can talk about a broke system in our world. That's obvious, right? We're seeing that right now. But we can individually do that as well. I think about a system that we can have of what church we choose, right? Are they clapping the same way we're clapping? Are they singing the songs that I like? Are they teaching exactly what I want to hear? Are they, you know, do they greet me at the door? Do they not greet me at the door? You know what I mean? These things, these systems that we can look for. And I think about so many times how even in my own life and in my family's life, how we may have missed out on growing or stepping into something even more that God has for us because of the unknown.
Yeah.
So that would be maybe my question is, how can we move forward as individuals, black, white, yellow, brown, where we can get uncomfortable in a conversation, where we can get uncomfortable with what's being talked about, where we can maybe even disagree on a certain point, but still be friends? Because I think one of the biggest challenges we face in life, I really do, even before just everything right now, is that if you and I don't agree upon something, we can't be friends. And I think that's nonsense. I think it's craziness, because what you just said, I got better last night because of a conversation where you and I disagreed. Right? So I guess to wrap that up in a nutshell, how can we, what's some ways we can have those conversations? What's some ways we can encourage people to step out of their box, of their comfort zone? Ms. Alma, can I start with you or no?
I believe in having the privilege to agree to disagree and still love each other and still understand that you're not in here and I'm not in there.
Yeah.
And we got a right to, it's all about loving each other. It truly is all about loving each other. And you might make me mad, and you probably have. But that don't stop me from loving you.
Sure.
I made you mad once. I messed up one of your shirts.
You did,
Hello?
but you
Yeah.
didn't make me mad.
Yes, you
I
said-
said a bad word about you, but that's it. That was over.
You said it in front of people. Miss Emma messed up my shirt. Sorry, John. But you didn't stop loving me because I screwed that up.
No way.
And I felt bad about it, but I said, okay, I did it. It's over. I apologize. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy one.
Come to
It costs
wash your own shirt.
Wash your own shirt. We got a right to, that's what families are.
Sure.
You do think my sons agree with what I say?
Yeah.
They don't agree with what I say. you don't agree. I love my sons. I love you like my son.
Absolutely.
I love you like if I had birthed a daughter. I love you just like that because we got that right. We got a right to think for ourselves. God gave us a brain.
So
He gave us a heart. And the heart and the brain really go together.
Absolutely.
It goes deeply together. So no, we got a right to disagree and still love each other.
That's
So good.
right.
Christian?
I think one thing that will help is for those who are having these racial issues.
Sure.
My blackness shouldn't intimidate you.
Wow.
We got to get to a point where me being black doesn't make you scared, doesn't make you uncomfortable,
Absolutely.
doesn't make you, feel the need to sit down and have that conversation.
Absolutely.
My blackness should not scare you, because if we want to be real about the systemic racism and the things that have happened, I have more reason for your whiteness to scare me.
Wow.
But I'm willing to stand on the front line and have these conversations.
Absolutely.
I'm 24 years old, and I feel like if God gave me the influence, then I need to use it.
Sure.
And I need to open up these conversations. I need to sit down with a John and a Britt and an Andreas and a Miss Alma and talk through these things.
Absolutely.
Because, I'm going to keep it real. The stuff has saddened me.
Absolutely.
I was riding with a homie today because he went up to the barbershop, and I just needed to get some air. And I went into the gas station to get some water, and I seen a little black boy. And I started crying.
Sure.
I got upset. Because I'm thinking to myself, these things run to my head when I see that little black boy. Is he going to get to grow up and be black?
Wow.
Without people having an issue with that?
Sure.
Without people questioning whether his life matters? And that's the stuff that I think about. So I think that if we can get to a point where we just let them walls down and stop letting that black skin intimidate you. Because guess what? We break it down in a scientific way, it's all the same.
It's all the same.
Absolutely.
The blood is red, you know what I mean? If we want to be real about it.
Absolutely.
And then, we take these steps where I just have never gotten the concept that people are hated because of something they don't choose. So, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is we got to take those walls down, and those who are living in fear that, black people might do whatever.
Sure.
or whatever that
No,
fear
sure,
is,
yeah.
maybe whatever experience they had led them to that.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's what they were taught. However, we have to come a point that when we are aware, we make the better decision. We make the right decision.
It's extremely good. And here, let me ask you this question with that, and then Andreas, I want to come over to you as well with the last question. Do you think that because of what you just said, that again, I told you I'm going to be very extremely honest.
Yeah.
There is things I'm nervous to say because I don't know how to say it. Does that make sense? There is things I'm nervous to say specifically to my black family, my black friends, that I get nervous to say. Would you say that is though the exact same thing as a black man to a white man? Is there a nervousness of saying something, or do you feel is that there at all?
It just depends on the conversation, I think, sometimes, and what the situation is.
Yeah.
But I can honestly say that I've, even something as simple as going in for a job interview,
Wow.
been nervous about how the outcome was going to be because I'm a black male and I got all this crazy hair under here. You know what I mean?
Your hair is crazy.
You feel me? You know what I mean? And I've been nervous about whether I'm going to walk in and people who have no idea what my integrity is or the type of person I am will look at me because of what they see and decide that that's it.
And that's it.
So there is, sometimes there can be that fear, and then there's other times where, you know what, I don't even care, I'm going to say what
No,
I'm
I'm with you.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, I mean, all right, I want to come back to one thing you just said there, but Andreas, in the last question, how can we open up some conversations? How can we have those conversations? Let me hear your thoughts on maybe some of that.
Like Christian said, we just kind of, as everybody, every race, we just kind of got to let go of our personal beliefs and open up and read and be able to see who everyone is for themselves.
Wow.
Like I said, me, I'm different. Like my personality, I'm just open talking. I talk to everybody, even
Yeah.
in my job. I deal with every race.
Yep.
So I deal with kids. I deal with teenagers, adults, senior citizens, everybody. But I don't judge people. I just open up and I want to get to know everybody. I don't stereotype a certain race just because one person has done something. And I'm open to working and having relationships with everybody. Now it comes to a point to where I'll trust you, but if you screw me over,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
and you do something wrong,
Yeah.
then I'll still respect you. I won't hate you.
Yeah.
I'll respect you. I'll keep you at a distance. And I'll be honest, I have to do it at work sometimes.
Sure.
We can work together because at the end of the day, the main goal is to make the YMCA better. It's not about me. It's just my department.
Yeah.
I want to see the Y grow,
good.
develop,
Man.
And it's the same thing on a personal level. Don't judge the black society because, 2 or 3 people are out in the community shooting or,
Yeah.
all over the world.
Yeah.
You can't judge an entire race by that. I'm
Yeah.
black. I've never shot a gun. I've never threatened to, do anything to anybody.
Yeah.
So what about me? You know what I'm saying? It's just different.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I won't judge you for something that somebody else did in the community because you're different. Everybody's different.
That's so
Like I
good.
said, if we just open up and just, be able to read, be able to feel, then, it'll be different. But, I'm saying in certain households, in different communities, some people, some kids are taught, don't talk to them or leave them
Sure,
alone.
yeah.
Which is absolutely wrong. I'll never tell my daughter not to talk to a white person or Indian person or, Asian person. No, you never know who you talk to. Because to me in life, it's not about what you know as much, but who you know.
Yeah.
If you're around the right people, you can get whatever you want in life. And not just saying just piggybacking off of people, but you build relationships with people,
Right.
you can get anything in life.
So good.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's extremely good. All right, so let me ask you guys this.
Share that.
They're gonna share some stuff too.
Like that.
Is everybody doing okay? Maybe with
Yeah.
hearing stuff.
Yeah.
And, okay, just want to make sure. Let me ask this. Let's get a little deeper. Let's get a little more touchier when it comes to what could trigger an emotion here. I was going to read a list of names, but honestly, there's so many that have been affected with what I would consider a racist act, right? And I mean, I could list names. I was so shocked when I started to look at how many names just over the last 5 years. Okay? You see it, you hear about it on TV, whatever. But I will be extremely vulnerable and say that I was floored at how many there was. I could read all those names, and that's what I was going to do. But again, there's so many. But when I simply say the name George Floyd, as a black person, what does that do? What does that? What feelings come with that?
Talking to me specifically?
Cautiously.
That's smart.
Okay, so imagine this. I want every one of the non-minority people who are watching this to just track with me for 2 seconds.
Speak a little bit. I just want to make sure people.
Track with me for just 2 seconds. Imagine being a black male, right? It's just a normal day. You make a mistake or whatever. They're trying to say it was for a counterfeit 20 or whatever it was. I don't remember.
Yeah, that to me, that's like.
Right. However,
whatever.
for that counterfeit 20, you're wrangled to the ground like an
Yeah.
animal. And when somebody says to you, or when you're saying to them, I can't breathe, I really cannot breathe, they don't care. It's 3 other cops right here
Yeah.
watching you pretty much die. And then, after the fact, you got to think about the family of George Floyd, who, people keep trying to explain away the death of their son, their brother, like it's okay. Like, but we want to say, oh, I got black friends.
Yeah.
Oh, I love black people. but you're not willing to fight for them.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm looking at, just things, it's like when everybody said, hey, we want to go back to work, and they had AR-15s and guns and everything out there, they got support from our community because, hey, we believe with you. We want to go back to work too.
Wow.
We need to make our coins. You know what I mean? And that was something simple. Now we take away color, and we're talking about a life.
No, sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, this ain't even, if you strip away race, right? Let's just talk about human beings right now.
Yeah.
That man was a human.
Yeah.
They tried to say, oh, well, he had health issues and it was his heart that contributed to it, which to me would make a lot of sense as to why he was telling you he couldn't breathe if he had heart problems.
Sure.
So for you to try to use his health condition to explain away that he was just killed. Not only was he killed, but he was handcuffed and on the ground. And again, there were 4 to 1. When you think about that, that happens all the time. A lot of people will say, well, white people get killed by cops too. And I'm not saying that's okay. It angers me just as much. However, black people are 13% of the population. So the comparison, there's not one.
There's not. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just think that people have to take themselves through that. Not only that, but you go through 400 years and counting of oppression, right? Getting beat and raped and watching your wife get beat and raped and your kids get sold off into slavery. Or we think about Emmett Till. A lot of people don't even know who Emmett Till is, but was beat to death because a white woman lied and said that he whistled at her.
Wow.
And even if he did whistle at her, is that enough for them to be as gruesome as they were? Beat his face in, shot his head from one side to the other, tied bricks to his ankle, and put him in a river. But you expect those same black people to get up every day and to work in your society and to still be respectful and still have couth and still have grace for that, for people who still live in that hatred. I think you can only bully somebody so much.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. So,
Can I ask a question about
Oh, yeah,
just
baby.
just referencing, because when you said, so that would be offensive. I guess through all of this, I am paralyzed because I don't know what to say or, and is it, so it's offensive to say, oh, I'm trying to relate with you and
No, that's not what
I
I'm saying.
understand, I don't know, I think you referenced, oh, I have a black friend or something like that, and that, is that offensive?
It's
in that?
offensive when that same person who says they have a
Does
black
nothing.
friend does nothing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
can tell you
understand.
how many people have unfriended me, unfollowed me, whatever. I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I couldn't count on one hand or two
Yeah.
hands. And it's crazy. And these are people who I thought would have my back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this. It's a great question, baby, because
I love that because it
Yeah,
clarifies.
and
Yeah, because I don't
I-
want to make anybody think that
Well,
for
and
those
I
who are
wanna
supporting
know-
and trying to understand that we have an issue with
no,
that.
no, I
because we
heard
don't.
what I heard is
Yeah.
what we just said. I did hear
Yeah.
that. Here's my question with that though. And actually, it's not a question. If I was to wrap up everything you just said, right? I would hear an emotion where I think anger is just a no. I don't. I'm
No,
not,
I mean, no, I understand.
I think that's an easy one to just say, oh,
Yes.
anger. But more than anything, I think I hear just fed up. Like,
Fed up, sad.
right? Like fed up with the way the world functions
Yes.
right now.
The world functions, yes.
And again, I'm not a politician. I've said this from day one. If you are looking for a friend that's a politician, if you're looking to vote in a politician, do not look at me because I don't say the right words, but I sure hope you hear my heart. But that's what I hear. I hear in that what I would hear if I was at a point where I wanted something to change, but not only was it not changing, but there was evidence that it was continuing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
For
that's
sure.
what I hear. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
John, this was on my mind too at home while I'm sitting there in tears and there's that black man, and then I heard in my spirit, would you be as hurt if it had been a white man? Yes,
Okay.
because he was human.
Okay.
And these people took him as to be. You know what I saw? I saw like wringing a chicken's neck. You got your knee on this man's neck like he's not human, like you're going to, after you get through, like you're killing an animal. And I couldn't help. I said, is your heart so hard and cold that you would literally put your hand in your pocket while you take a life? Emma, what would you feel if it had been the other way around? A white man, I felt the same pain. The same pain, because, you know, I got 12 grandsons. And that day I sit there and I thought, oh, God, please take care of my grandsons.
Yeah.
I'm scared for them to go to work. But God said, you can't fear because fear is not of me. You got to just trust me with this. God knew this was happening.
Yeah.
He knew this was going to happen. But I don't understand that kind of hatred.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
To any human.
Any human. I can't understand that kind of hatred to Esther, your dog, that I love dearly.
I can
can't
understand it with
understand
Esther.
that.
I could. There's times where I wish. There's
I
times
can't.
where.
I can't.
No, I
Now the
know.
other dog that had a diaper one time.
Andreas,
you on
man,
that.
what do you think, man? You sit down there quiet, then you speak wisdom. I love
Very
it.
much
so.
wisdom. It's over here, and I can feel it on me. Over here.
So you said, what do I think about when I hear the name George Floyd?
Yeah,
Personally, I am George Floyd.
Yeah.
Wow.
I am George Floyd. What if it was me? The man had a family that is going through so many emotions. Somebody's never going to get their dad back, their brother, their friend. It's over with. He's gone. He's never coming back. What if that was me over a counterfeit $20 bill? Like, seriously, like, you know, I'm not like a really emotional guy, but you know, I've thought about it, and I really haven't came out publicly. Like, this is the first time.
Sure.
But like, I am George Floyd.
Yeah. So good, man.
And if that happened to me here in Danville, I think Danville would be going nuts.
Oh, it'd
Absolutely.
be on fire.
Absolutely.
It'd be on fire by now.
Absolutely.
So, like, it's so many points, so many emotions. Like, it hurts. And it hurts because this isn't the first time that
No.
it's happened.
No.
This isn't the second time that it's happened. This isn't the third time that it's happened. It's a continuous cycle that's going over and over and over, and nothing has changed. Nothing is Nothing is happening to the officers that are just killing black men.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're getting off and
And
getting
another
paid.
thing that hurts, like, it's not all officers.
No.
Okay, so that would be my next question, and I think I interrupt you because I think that's where you're going. Britt and I have felt extremely torn in this scenario for sure, where you have anybody ask us, will we cry out Black Lives Matter right now? Dude, without a doubt, with the loudest voice we possibly can. What we're torn by is why us saying that makes it for other people where we don't where it feels like we're lacking our support towards them. Let me say it this way. Do y'all feel that every officer is the issue?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
When you have someone stand up and are willing to stand up and say that Black Lives Matter, is it okay that people really understand the same time that every life does matter? Black Lives Matter in this moment because that is where we're at as a nation. And do cops' lives matter just as much as that? I have good friends who are police officers, so the answer to that is
yes.
extremely yes.
Yes.
Is there a balance? And if there is, I want some encouragement on that, because I'll just tell you, for Britt and I, that's something we've wrestled with over the last 48 hours. Is how do we stand up and stand up for what we believe in, which is Black Lives Matter, but at the same time I told my dad driving over here that I have a real hard time separating people. And I feel like that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I have a real hard time saying that this person matters to me more than that person. I'm struggling
Yeah.
with that right
Yeah.
now, right? And I'm getting emotional because that fed up thing is where I found myself over the last 48 hours of like, man, I'm almost in a position where I feel like if I say something, it's wrong to some, and if I say it, it's wrong to others. And I want to be for both. And I don't want to just be for both a little bit, or I don't want to be for both just halfway. I want to be 100% for both all the way. A, did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
B, can we get some insight on that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's right now. Black Lives Matter. You're gonna tick some people off by saying that because you're not black.
Okay.
But you're gonna tick them off because you're a you and your family, you're genuine people. So you care about everything that's going on in the world every day. You guys wanna reach out to everybody, no matter the color.
Yeah,
But right now, blacks are being hurt.
absolutely.
It's not Indians, it's not Asians. Blacks are being hurt. So right now you're screaming Black Lives Matter. Now you might have other people out there, some are your friends, some are your so-called family. They don't understand that because they're so shallow.
Wow.
They don't see what's going on. All lives matter. It's not just black lives, but right
Absolutely.
now the black people are being hurt.
Absolutely.
And you care about black people. You care about
Yes,
white people. You care about
deeply.
Indian people.
Every-
But right now,
yeah.
blacks are being hurt. So you're screaming Black Lives Matter because black lives do matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like we don't care about other people. We care about all races. We care about everybody throughout the world.
Yeah.
But right now, it's just a time where blacks are being hurt.
Wow.
You know, can I put my little thing in here about my pastor?
Put it in there.
I've been
And
in
you're talking Pastor Archie.
Pastor Archie.
Yeah.
I've been in this church 30 years. Tony, my husband introduced me to this church, and we were heathens. But we came
still
into
are.
this church.
We still are.
We came into this church, and 2 weeks later we got married. So we sitting in the sanctuary, and Pastor said, I don't know how the subject came up, but there was a man in the church that told Pastor he was a good preacher. He was good, but you got too many black people in here. And Pastor made the statement, well, you know what, you might want to find you another church because this is a rainbow up in here, and you might want to go someplace else. And the man evidently did, because I don't even know who he was. But for Pastor, he wouldn't say it in front of the man. He said it to the man because they had a private conversation after this man said this. So Pastor didn't say it. You know, he just told us that he told him you might want to find another church. And so my husband turned to me and said, "We're in the right place. There's no prejudice up in here. And we're not stupid enough to know that as big as that church was back then, it is then, that somebody in there is not prejudiced.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah.
But the main people in that church that I want to listen to, that helped my soul, was the pastor. So whatever around me wasn't feeling right about me touching them or sitting close to them, that was their problem. Because this man that I'm listening to telling me all about God,
Yeah.
teaching me how to live through the Bible and live good, was Pastor Neil. So I listened to what he said. I didn't care what other people thought,
That's awesome.
because he was teaching me love.
Absolutely.
So that's how I feel about
Thank
it.
you,
And
Mom. Thank you, Alma.
Yeah, I would say to everyone who is offended by that statement, Black Lives Matter, and want to say all lives matter, the reason that is taken away from what's happening is because the moment you exclude any one group, it's no longer all. So it's not all inclusive. If everybody but the blacks or everybody but the, Native American groups,
sure.
everybody
Yeah.
but the white groups. That's not all. That's everybody but.
Yeah.
You feel me? So
Yeah.
we have to really understand, like you said, it's a lot about verbiage, but it is like, what are you saying? You know what I mean? What do you say? All lives matter. Yeah, I get that. But do all lives really matter to you? Like, if you really think about it, there's a lot of civilization that is set up on the backs of African American people. A lot of the luxuries that we have to this day, the freedoms that we have, to this day, the technology that has been developed to this day, built on the backs of black people who weren't able to get the credit for the work that they done.
Yeah.
Built this country for free. And when you think about all that they had to go through while doing it, and still feel like you have to say, all lives matter, that's an issue to me.
No, I get you.
Yeah.
That is a big problem. You know what I mean? Because even as Christians, the Bible talks about giving honor where honor is due.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So if the white community, and that brings me to another point too, is like, if my white friends are speaking out and stepping up and getting involved, I want to say to the community of those people, thank you.
Absolutely.
Because what you don't know is that you using your voice in rooms that they carry weight in that we don't have could be the difference between somebody living or dying.
Yes.
It's that powerful. So don't sit back and say, I can't speak up or it's not going to contribute. Because, dude, it really is.
Absolutely.
No, that's a good encouragement too,
Yeah.
because I think you can, like, for me, I can feel like, well, what does my voice really matter? I can't relate. I can't. But I think when I'm thinking Black Lives Matter, I read something just in the last day or two. I think we get so caught up, but if I'm saying that, I'm not saying that the other lives don't matter.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying that I agree with, babies being aborted. I'm not saying that, the police officers don't matter in this moment. But what I am crying out from my heart is this is not okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's
And
very
that doesn't
well
mean that I'm against the other, the other things. I think that's where I struggle with all of it.
said. So, can we as a church, because I feel like that's what we are, right? And I say that because I feel like all of us call Life Church their home. I feel like we are the church, even if we're not necessarily members of this church, right? Like, we're the church, okay? So can we as a church say, because I think, I want to be cautious because, again, you know me, I'm not going to say it very well, so if I say it wrong, just let me know. Can we as a church stand on the idea that we are screaming Black Lives Matter at the same time deeply concerned and caring about every police officer that has their life out there right now as well? Is that okay? Did I say that in where I'm not pulling away from something? And does that make sense?
Right. Absolutely.
Makes a lot of sense, because we need the police and we need to pray and we need to lift them up too,
Yeah.
because all of them are not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all pass a police car go because they're doing their job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I did that to the wrong one, he is his conscience, not mine. Because I'm telling you, you're doing a good job,
Yeah.
and I'm praying for you that you're out there, because we gotta have the law. We can't live without the law,
Yeah.
and we gotta have the good ones, and the bad ones are being weeded out. You see that now?
That's what we
They're
need.
coming out from
Wow.
underneath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like what she said. I'm screaming Black Lives Matter loud
Yeah.
because they do matter. But at the
Absolutely.
same time, I got a brother-in-law and I got a brother that are officers in Majors, Chicago, and in Lexington, Kentucky.
Wow.
So I'm praying and thinking about them daily. Great guys. But at the same time, they have families at home. But the things that are going on in the world, they're literally times 10 magnified, putting their lives on the line
Yeah.
by trying to serve and protect by doing it right. Now, their lives are on the line right now even more just because of something that happened across the country, and they're
Right.
trying to actually serve and protect.
And do things
right.
Do
well.
things right.
That's right.
Yeah.
They would never, disrespect anyone on
Yeah.
the job.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
All of you, very well said. On such a touchy topic.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, right?
Yeah,
As we're
yeah.
talking about, we should be comfortable with these, but,
Yeah.
you know, I think we're all learning. This is growing all of us.
Right.
Okay, so we've got, I want to be cautious of our time. We've got about 15 minutes. Are we still, people sticking around? Are they staying on? Let's talk church. Let's talk church. Because, Ms. Salma, you brought up a very good point. We would be foolish, even here at Life Church, to think that nobody coming through this place battles with racism.
That's true.
Yeah.
We don't like that. I don't like the idea of that. I'm not sure I can point that out necessarily here, but I'm not so naive to think that there's not that here. I feel like, and I've kind of challenged people over the last 24 hours with this too. I was talking with Alma about it. I feel like as a church, we do a decent job. And I say decent because we can always be growing, all right? We've never arrived with anything until we stand in front of Jesus. But I feel like we've done a pretty decent job, even as Alma said, all the way back 40 years ago when this church started, where we made every attempt we could to make every single person that came in here, give them a place to not only belong, but be a part of. Maybe I'm wrong on this, and challenge me. I have no problem with that. But I think our church, again, you just heard me say we could get better in it, but I think our church is a pretty great example of diversity in our community. Again, I'm not saying we can't get better, but I feel like when you walk into here, you're seeing just about every color. Here's what I was challenged with this week, because, you know, I think there's a lot of churches out there. Let me rephrase that. I think there's some churches out there that are looking to have a different color in a place of being in front to say, hey, we're a diverse church. It's cool, right? Like we're cool now because we got somebody singing, or whatever it may be. We're cool. We're diverse. So I don't want to be so shallow to think just because we have someone singing a song, just because we have someone greeting you at the front door, that that makes us a diverse church. So, but I do feel like we're doing a good job when it comes to taking steps towards that. Not just specifically Life Church, but any church. What can we be? And I'm really kind of speaking to black churches as well, right? Because I feel like all of us need to be diverse when it comes to that in our churches. What can we be doing? What can we be doing to move forward more in that as a church when it comes to diversity, when it comes to giving every single person that comes through our doors the acknowledgement that their lives matter, and they matter deeply to God, and they're going to matter deeply to us? Is there any, and you might not have an answer for that. That's a pretty broad question, but
Honestly, I think it starts from the top. With great leaders, when you have a great leader at the top, people fall in place,
yeah,
and everything just works out.
yeah,
For me, first coming here, like I said, I've always felt welcome. And I've been to a lot of different churches. Not saying I haven't felt welcome there.
no, sure,
But I've always felt welcome, greeted the right way. I just feel comfortable, relaxed. I've never had an issue. Open. I feel, I trust you guys. So we've built a relationship to where, we like how things are presented.
yeah,
It's not in a black or white scheme.
yeah,
It's in a black and white scheme. Either you get it or you don't. But if you don't get it, you know what you need to do to make your life better,
wow,
to make people around you better.
yeah,
And it's simple. You can go to some churches and, sometimes the word ain't clear.
Yeah.
But here, like I said, it's simple, it's open, everybody's friendly, everybody's family. You got so many people that's willing to help out and do different things, not just inside the church, but outside the church.
That's so good.
And like I
Okay.
said, when you got a great leader, everything trickles down and it falls in place.
It's awesome. Okay. I agree with that 100%. Thank you. Alma?
Like I said, I've been here a long time, and I feel so comfortable. I guess I am very comfortable, and I'm very loved. And some people say they love you, and you don't know if that's true. But I know I'm loved. And not everybody in here love me, but I've never seen one that didn't. But everybody treat me with love, from Pastor Neil, Sheila, all of you, everybody. And I feel very comfortable, because if I didn't, because see, I'm not playing. When it comes to learning God's word and worshiping and serving God, ain't no joke to me. I'm serious.
Absolutely.
And I want the best. And I feel like I left this church for 2 years, only because I went to Georgia, thought I wanted to live in Georgia, but I didn't. And when I came, my mind stayed on Life Church, and I went to some of the best churches in Georgia, Jensen Franklin. And I felt like I'm going to try this a little bit longer. I need to go home. This is a good church, but I need to be at home. Because when I die, I want to be in front of that church, this church. Because I know they love me. I know. And they show love to Pastor and show love to everybody. And I used to be kind of a little bit, I better not rub Pastor the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
But then I grew. I grew more and more, closer to him.
Yeah.
And realized he's the leader.
Yeah.
And he has to lead the way. And he loves us. And this is a good church. Because if it wasn't, I wouldn't be here.
Wow.
I wouldn't waste my time. And I learned a lot from the word in this church. I learned a lot from loving people.
It's
I
awesome.
really have. And I can't see me anywhere else. And
Well, we can't see you. Matter of fact, we'd be really mad if you. What about you, man? I mean, you've obviously been here the shortest of time, and there's been a lot, like since you've been here, right?
Yes.
Like a lot.
A whole lot.
We've started a campus. We've lost some key people, like in the sense of what, just not lost, but just people who have left in the sense of moving or God lead them another direction. Yeah, so you've really been put into that scenario, right? So, yeah, what do you think? Not just about our church, like
Yeah, I
about
was just
in
gonna
general.
say.
Yeah,
I think that above anything else, when we take on, or I'm sorry, when we say we're representing Christ, but we hate people because of the color of their skin.
say that again and say it a little louder.
When we say we're representing Christ and we hate people because of the color of their skin, and I'm talking to the church as a whole,
No, I'm with you.
the body of Christ everywhere is who I'm referring to, just to make sure that that's clear. I think we have to take ourselves back to the scripture where Jesus asked, he says, how can you say you love me whom you don't see,
Absolutely.
amen.
but
Hate those. Yeah.
that you see every single day?
Say you love those who's, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like, look, guys, when it comes down to it, those of us who wear this cross so big and so proud, we got to make sure that we constantly, on both sides, are looking in the mirror and checking ourselves. And just making sure that even in some subtle places that we might not
Yeah,
even realize
yes.
that we are becoming aware of that thing so we can be the change. You know, you don't got to be blatantly running around here calling people N-words.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, when that fear shows up and you get to acting different,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
there's some merit to understanding that we have to love all. The Bible tells us what? Let love be your highest goal. He didn't say hate. He didn't say judgment. He didn't say you look like this and I look like that. He said let love be your highest goal. So I feel like any time that we represent the cross and we say that it's Jesus, there has to be love. And I think that
Yeah.
when we can approach it from that way, I think people will start to see. Because the truth about it is, people don't care how much you know
No.
until they know how much you care.
That's right.
You feel what I'm saying? And so when I can feel that you care about
Yes.
us, when I can feel that you love me, when I can feel that you got my back, when I can feel that you keeping your word, when I can feel and look in your eyes and see how genuine you are, then I know.
Absolutely.
You feel me? So I think that there just comes a time that in the church, the body of Christ as a
Yeah.
whole, one, we got to learn how to be more genuine. We got to learn how to be more honest with ourselves and God and our leadership.
Absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we have to be willing to change.
Yeah, we do.
And that's always easy
Yeah, yeah.
until it's us.
Right.
Right. Like, it change always is easy
Yes, until it's us. We got to
and-
look in the mirror.
And we have to ask, I loved what you said there, where you said that it could be, it doesn't have to be that, someone coming in here with the idea of using an N-word. But is there anything in my life
Yeah, the subtle
that
places, yeah.
is that in that subtle place where I see someone different because of the color of their skin? I beg God, right now,
Yeah,
live, if we're still on,
we are.
that he searches my heart, as the Bible says. And if there is any of that
Any.
on the inside of me,
Yes, Lord.
that it gets ripped out.
That's right.
Because I've done some stupid stuff in my life. And I know one of these days I'm going to have to stand in front of God. I don't think he's going to beat me up about him, but it's just not who God is. But the one thing I don't want to stand in front of God and have to give an answer to is, hey, why didn't you treat all of my people the same? I don't want to answer that question.
But ain't that like scripture? Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah, and that's,
You know what I
I'm
mean?
glad you're
Like-
bringing that up too, because, I don't want to talk
No, you
over
good.
anybody.
No, you good.
But I just told someone today, what brought that, what came right after that? What came right after the
Yeah.
greatest commandment? Love your God, right, with all of your heart. And the one is right with it. In other words, you
Yeah.
can't have this one without the
That's the
other.
other one.
Yes.
That's right.
It's like Twix. So here's the thing. So here's the thing. You can't do one and not the other.
Right.
So I gotta love God with all of my heart, and when I'm doing that, I can't help but love people.
That's
Right.
right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's there. You know what comes right after that? He goes into the parable of the Good Samaritan.
Yeah.
Now it's shocking to me, and it shouldn't be, but I'm reminded that the two people that passed by were religious folks.
Yep.
And I don't want to be religious.
Yeah.
I believe the person that stopped by had a real encounter with Jesus
Yeah.
that knew his life had been extremely impacted.
Yeah.
He had flaws. He had things that weren't right. And the best thing he could do is stop and help the person in need.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I'm hearing like Black Lives Matter, when I'm hearing that, I'm thinking of that person that is literally on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And am I picking up my pants and walking over, or am I actually taking the time to help someone in need?
Yeah.
White, black, yellow,
That's right.
orange, I don't care.
It's all right, John.
I want to see an orange person.
Right. But yeah.
You want to see an orange person? You should have saw me after we went to Florida and I didn't put no suntan
Oh
lotion on.
Lord.
No, you were red.
Oh Lord.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Can I read these things real quick?
Yeah,
yeah.
And has this been okay? We got
Yeah.
3
Wonderful.
minutes.
3
and
minutes.
Yes.
I want to
awesome.
read these,
I kinda wanna
and
see what they're saying.
some of them are funny, but a couple of them are, I hope, are funny, and I hope y'all hear my heart, because I'm just going to give you real life from me. Is that okay? Okay.
What are these again?
This is the impact the black community has had on my life. I want to, as you say, give honor where
Yeah.
honor is due.
Yeah.
Okay? If it wasn't for Clyde Darnell, I would have never known that no matter what is going on in my life, there is always something we can give God praise for. Even if cancer is taking my life like it did his, I will not stop trusting God for the very best.
Yeah.
That's what Clyde Darnell, strong black man,
That's right.
instilled in my heart. If it was not for Miss Alma, my kids would not be who they are today, because she's really the one who helped Britt and I raise them, up during some of the most important years of their lives. So when I hear people say, I can't believe how good your kids are, I can't believe the heart your kids have, I got to think of Miss Alma. This is just what God had put on my heart. If it was not for Darius Dabney, D-Dad, I would not have gotten half the stuff done that I needed to. And I would have never have known what it looks like for a teenage boy to basically be raising his younger brother and sisters. If it was not for Snoop, Dre, Ice Cube, and Nelly, I would definitely have never been able to drive around Danville like I was the coolest guy in town. If it wasn't for Rosa Parks, I would have never got to see my 8-year-old daughter at the time stand up in front of her class dressed as Miss Parks and let her classmates know that we should always be willing to stand up for what is right.
That's my girl.
If it was not for the beautiful black students in my son's class in 3rd grade, I would have never gotten the opportunity to talk to my son about not needing lotion because all of his friends at the table were saying that